Okay, I'm back. I think like over the next week, I'm just gonna flip through all of my journals through the years, and so that you can kind of see what's evolved and different processes and how they differ depending on what moods I'm in. Um, a little note when I sold one of my horses, the little girl wrote me a note. She's so sweet. I did go through a few years where I would include calendars, which I've recently gone back to because I just put like a little blurb every day of something we did, and it is fun to look back through. This is when we bought the building for my husband's family business here in Langley. This like kind of soft, this is gelatos. They look like this, paper pastel. I have a whole smear of them, and they're so awesome because you just kind of put them on and then you can blend it, and they're creamy, and I do a lot of art with it. Anyway, stamps, magazine cuttings, my little baby. I don't really worry. You probably hear that like crackle schmack sound. I don't really care if the pages stick together slightly. I've never had a problem with it with dried paint. It just kind of sticks a little bit, but not enough to tear the pictures or anything. So the trip to my parents' house in the summer, and the beach, Honeymoon Bay at Westport. Sometimes I add little words. These are sticker words. Let's see if I can find these. You can get them in all sorts of things at Michael's and whatnot. They're just sheets of words, kind of like magnets, only they're stickers. I put those on there a lot. Occasionally I'll print out a black and white, but I'm more of a color gal. The fair. My printer talking to me. At this point in my life, I had 3 very little kids, and so a lot of it was crafting with one in a bumbo on my desk. And you can see that, I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, just printing out pictures and pasting them in, and just a little journal blurb, but priceless looking back now. This was in August. A lot of park time, outside, shorts, just sticking down scrapbook paper, journaling over it. This is just a little paint that I paint on there so that I can write over it and you can see it a little bit better. Paint and stamps. And most of my writing is done with paint pens. Poscas are the absolute best. I don't even know. Posca, I don't know. Those are the best. I do have Sharpies too, but I like the other kind better. And they come in different sizes. I have some smaller ones too that I do more fine writing with. The Olympics. We have a friend that was actually at the Olympics, and she sent us a little postcard from there, stuck it in there. We were very patriotic for this week, month, however long it was. That was fun for them. Writing about my little Henry James. A lot of beach days, writing about taters. Periodically, I'll just pick one of my kids to just write about, and I just go through some details of where they're at and what they like to do and what I think about them, things that they're saying. Clearly an ice cream day. It's just a screenshot from my Instagram stories and a card from, I remember trying to be ambitious and taking them to this arts and crafts festival, all of them by myself, and it was a hot day. I remember that. I needed to paint afterwards. I pulled out these, I don't know, they're like little rockers. I can't remember what they're called, but and then the twins wanted to lay in them again. They're for babies. So I took a little picture of them reading in there. Pride parade down in our little town. And these are things that are interesting to look back on, because I remember this was kind of a big deal, that these kind of things were becoming more normal. Girls' night. Sometimes I draw over the pictures because they're just, they're just paper. Foggy little beach morning, which is our favorite thing to do. Go to the beach early in the morning and then just stay all day. 4 months. For Finnegan. Hot August hikes and postcard from a thrift store. You can always find these if you go to Goodwill or whatever your local thrift store is. You can just find boxes of postcards with cute art and random stuff, and I always pick them up because they're so cheap, and it's a sweet way of putting some art and some different stuff in your journals. Lots of washi tape. I have a problem, actually. It's true. This was actually gift wrap on one of my presents. This was my birthday, my 33rd birthday. So I just decoupaged some of this tissue paper down on the paper to make my background, and it's cute. And we went to Leavenworth, and I put in some extra pictures on these little flaps. Painted the mountains, some trees. So it's not all kids. I also include some stuff that I do by myself. And I've especially done more of that recently in my most recent journals. This was a page from a songbook and a book about backpacking, planning trips, and I pasted those down and did kind of like a translucent. So what I do is I add a little bit of paint to Mod Podge, and that gives that translucency. Yeah, you know what I mean. You can see through it. And again, like I use the gelatos, and if you add a little bit of gelato to water, I'm just going to use my finger, it becomes kind of smearable and opaque, so you can see the paper through it. I don't know, it's pretty. You know, I love my little pockets. It's just fun. Ah, the days of wearing babies. My garden was in full swing. Henry's picture of planets. So taking lots of inspiration from magazines and books about gardens. The soapbox races. And these are this is such a simple spread. It's already scrapbook paper, and I just painted a square and pasted a couple pictures in there, wrote a couple highlights. A day that I don't even really remember that day clearly now, but looking back here, I'm right there after reading the little blurbs. This is a place called EB's Landing, and I remember when they were little, I think there are 2 here. I like ABC Landing, Inui. That's how Tate said it. That's great. I like hot dogs. This is a really sweet little book that was in really poor condition, so I think I even just got it for free at Goodwill, and so I've been using the illustrations for some of my art. Again, just paint pens over paint. First haircut that I attempted, and I couldn't resist doing the top first and seeing what would happen. He's into it. He's not. It's cool, bud. I get it. This is my 5-month-old standing up and trying to walk. He's still that determined now at 3 years old. Just a little, this is what he's doing now, which is fun to look back on. Family interviews. I highly recommend doing this with not just your family, but just with everyone. Just asking them random questions and writing it down so you can look back. Anniversary night. Eric Carle, you'll see a lot of that in my journals from this book that I found. We had already had a copy, so I bought it strictly to cut up the art and words and use them in journals. A tag from something that I got, and I just loved the saying, so snip, snip, put it in. A picture Tate drew. I've mentioned this before, but a lot of times I'll put pictures that they drew in here because I know I'm not going to frame everything, but it's so fun to look back on. It's not stuck in a drawer where no one sees it. And this was a letter my great grandma wrote to us when I was very little, and her writing is just so beautiful, and so I stick her letters in here. This is a picture of her holding me. Even then I like pasta. Clearly. Magazine. Whidbey Island rocks. This was a huge thing for a while. Everyone was painting rocks and hiding them. I'm sure they were doing in your town too. And so we got into it, and finding them was just always such a highlight. Oh, I don't know where I picked these up. Probably a thrift store or something. Little bud that they were playing with at the park. Potty training. That's something he used to say all the time. That's great. He still does. Seahawks fans, every baby that comes into this family gets a jersey. Papa Beard writes the boys letters periodically. This was the first one they ever received, and they were over the moon about it, opening it up and finding little treasures, and they still love to. This is a picture of him when he was their age that he stuck in there, and they still open up. Let's go look at the letter from Papa Beard. Pancake recipe. Marriage recipe. And this is the end. I almost always end it with a picture of them walking away from me because it's kind of the end of a chapter. And then some random stuff. There you go.